Today we're discussing a video about why Hollywood keeps making movies nobody's asked for.
With movie budgets being at their all-time peak and filmmaking technology getting better every year, why is it so rare then that there's ever a movie that's actually worth seeing anymore? Well,
okay, so right off the bat, I see people say this, make this sentiment a lot about movies, at least recent movies. And to be honest with you, I think it's cap, because there's a lot of movies that come out all the time, or even this year. Take a look at this year. There's plenty of movies that came out this year that are really good and worth watching for sure. But the problem is, I think a lot of people rely on just the movies that are spoon-fed to them. You know, the movies that have the high budget and they're advertised all in your face, like the Marvel movies. You know the type of movies I'm talking about. But a lot of good movies go under the radar. You kind of have to like go out of your way almost to find them, and you have to be open to watching new movies that you maybe wouldn't normally do. You know, I think a lot of people just when it comes to the movies, it's only the stuff that they see advertised. And if it's not something advertised to them, there's a big chance that they're not going to check it out. And then they'll go and complain about, why is it nothing but superhero movies and Marvel movies and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, did you try to watch anything else?
Well, it's because Hollywood's sole focus these days is just to make movies that we've already seen. Take for example the new Hunger Games movie that was yet just another movie no one was asking for. The original Hunger Games series, which concluded several years ago.
I never seen Hunger Games movies. I thought the new one was like a new part to the series or something. Is it like a remake or redo or some shit like that?
Was not only a commercial success, but also a cultural phenomenon, blending action with deep social commentary. However, the decision to revisit this universe highlights a concerning trend in Hollywood, the recycling of content over the pursuit of innovation. And this latest installment of the Hunger Games is emblematic of Hollywood's growing inclination to lean on established successes. Rather than expanding the original story or offering a genuinely new perspective, this film appears to be driven by the industry's reluctance to venture into uncharted creative territory.
Also, it's easier to, well, two things. It's easier to make movies about things people want to see, already established IPs and worlds that people like. And two, nothing's new under the sun, especially when it comes to movies and the creative endeavors. Like, all of the creative ideas, like all the basic ideas have already been done. It's all about taking them and giving your own spin on it. So I think the problem is it's done sloppily. It feels like when they do it, a lot of times these days, it feels lazy and like they didn't really try, that they rely too much on the fact that people like this IP and they didn't really put their own spin on the thing. I think that's also another issue. But then at the same time, you have when people actually, movie makers actually make a completely new movie, there's people saying, who asked for this movie? This movie's trash. She's like, I mean, it's almost a lose-lose situation sometimes, it feels like.
Strategy is not about enriching a beloved narrative, but rather about capitalizing on the established fame and fan base of the Hunger Games name. And that's why the latest Hunger Games movie is so boring and plastic, reflecting the hesitance to innovate in fresh original ideas in Hollywood. And more Hollywood seems to want to always play it safe, banking on the nostalgia and recognition associated with popular titles, which inadvertently—
I know people shit on the live action like Disney movies, but I never seen them, but didn't those movies like actually do really well? Which indicates to me that it's usually just a vocal minority that's really against live action, Disney movies. I'm fine either way. I'm not one of those people that are like, you're ruining my childhood, because that's ridiculous. The old movies are still there. I can just go watch them. It's not that big a deal to me. But I think it's really weird that so many people are so against the live action shit, but then the movies do so well. And that only means Disney's going to keep doing it.
Isn't a safe play anymore, as people don't want these films. And this movie specifically lacks any originality and excitement. The film's focus centers around a young President Snow, a character from the original series, which is an incredibly boring choice that lacks the innovative spirit of the original movie.
Why does this movie look like this? Did he edit the movie to the video to look like this to avoid copyright or whatever? There's no way the actual movie looks fucking gross like this. It's like hurting my eyes. What the fuck? It's like I'm watching a 3D movie without 3D glasses.
The narrative, rather than offering new insights or perspectives, retreats familiar ground, failing to captivate audiences with the same intensity, having no real substance or meaning compared to the powerful vision the original story created, resulting in just a really boring movie that over-relies on trite themes and just seems like a hollow cash cow. So why is this happening? Well, this is because Hollywood's sole focus these days is to make movies that we've already seen. And if you don't believe me, just look at the numbers. In 1981, just 16% of movies produced were some form of sequel, spin-off, or remake.
Again, this goes back to you have to go out of your way to like find these other movies. I think this is more like mainstream movies. When it comes to mainstream movies, you see a lot of, like you're saying, sequels, spin-off, and reboots, because that's what works. Like, they wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't working. You know what I mean? Like, they're obviously making money or something if they keep doing it. Some people are watching it. And this always leads me to believe that it's got to be like the vocal minority that are saying these type of things, because Hollywood is all about making money. They wouldn't keep making movies if they weren't making money. I promise you.
Fast forward to 2019, and that percentage has skyrocketed to 80%. And just look at the highest grossing movies in the
I kind of want to compare it to like hip hop music. Like, people compare about like rap and how bad it is today, but when it comes to that, you also have to really go out of your way to find artists and music and stuff that you like. Otherwise, you're only going to get the mainstream shit that gets played on the radio and things like that. You kind of have to do a little bit of work yourself. But I think a lot of people don't want to do that. They'd rather just complain and say, why is the music that's being forced and shoved into me so bad? Why I don't like it, but I don't want to do anything about it. It's like, come on, man. You got to like, what's the word I'm looking for? You got to curate your taste, when it comes to movies and just media in general. When it comes to movies, music, entertainment, you got to curate your shit. Otherwise, you're just going to keep getting shit you hate.
US box office last year. All 10 films in the top 10 are sequels or rely on a pre-existing intellectual property. But why did this become the norm? Well, contrary to what we've seen from painfully cringe blockbuster scripts of late, it's not due to a lack of creativity by writers and directors. It's mainly a result of the major studios such as Disney, Warner Brothers, and Universal becoming increasingly risk-averse. And when given the choice between investing in a brand new original script and investing in a sequel,
you do see, that's my problem. You do know there's more people making movies than just Universal, Disney, and Warner Brothers. There's other. You got to put in the work. Unfortunately, you got to go and dig in the mud and find other movies. And a lot of times, it's not even that hard to find other movies that are really good, that aren't the big mainstream superhero type movies.
Or a spin-off to an already financially successful film or franchise, they'll almost always take the latter. After all, it's the safer bet. However, this has led to where we are today. Theaters are empty as fans have gotten tired of paying increasingly exorbitant.
This can't be true, because like you just said, they're always going for the risk adverse stuff. So like, if they're not making money on these movies, they wouldn't keep doing them. At least that's logically, because it's all a business. So logically speaking, the theaters can't be that empty if they're continuing to make these movies. They got to be making a lot of money, or at least enough to justify continuing making them.
Ticket prices to see their favorite franchises and characters that are run into the ground. Writing continues to get worse as studios become more concerned with turnaround times and deadlines to prioritize cashing in on familiarity or simply hype, rather than handling a beloved IP with care to ensure a truly entertaining product. And for a long time, this strategy paid off, but recently we seem to have hit a breaking point. Things are no longer going to plan for Hollywood. With an oversaturation of content and more options than ever, audiences are simply not making the time to watch the garbage anymore. Even traditionally die-hard fans of the world's biggest franchises are choosing to opt out of the newest installments. You can see it in the numbers. For example, Disney alone has lost over $1 billion in expensive flops over the past year.
What's $1 billion to Disney, though? They got so much money, they don't care. They can afford to keep doing what they want.
A majority of these flops had an association with a previously existing IP or franchise that studio executives considered a sure thing, and the story is similar for other major studios. It turns out when you're grossly oversupplying a demand year after year, it won't get you very far, as any excitement or intrigue will slowly but inevitably.
Also, this new hate on Marvel, how it's cool to hate on Marvel movies or whatever, or people saying it's saturated. People forgot that a lot of these movies got delayed because of COVID. COVID fucked up a lot of things when it comes to movies. And what happened was a lot of these movies were supposed to, it's supposed to be a staggered release. It was supposed to come out way more separate, not back to back to one another. But COVID fucked things up. And then we just had 1 year where everything got delayed so much that it all felt like it was coming out back to back to back to back. And we were getting oversaturated. I think that's a lot of people forget about that. It wasn't supposed to be that many Marvel projects in 1 year.
Die. And even worse, when you're bastardizing people's favorite characters and stories with cringe dialogue or a preachy woke agenda in an effort to cash in, you're going to lose fans' trust, which translates to money lost in the long term. And don't get me wrong, sometimes the excitement for a reboot, sequel, or adaptation is there, but it's becoming increasingly rare. More often than not, we see a trailer or announcement for a new film that should excite us, but it doesn't. Even though it might be the next installment in one of our favorite franchises, or bring a character or world we've always enjoyed to the big screen, we look at it and think to ourselves, who even asked for this?
I hate that question, who asked for this? Like, you don't have to ask for something to be made. You know what I mean? I hate when people say, who asked for this when it comes to movies and shit, because it's like, if they only made movies where people were asking for them, we would be in the same situation we are. People love familiarity. They love to be comfortable. As much as they complain about things being, let me see, how should I put this? As much as people complain about things being the same and the same movies being made, it's like, well, that's what people like. Obviously, you people like seeing stuff you're already familiar with, your favorite characters on screen. There's a reason it works, and why superheroes and that's just an example. Why you see all these characters and stuff on screen all these years is because people love these characters. They love seeing them do things. You know what I mean? So to say who asked for this is kind of silly, because it's kind of the audience that asked for this. And then for the same token, when people, or when movie directors or whatever, Hollywood actually puts out a unique movie, a lot of the time it gets shit on. Or when they try something different, it gets shit on. So it's like, why bother?
Perhaps the biggest issue contributing to this feeling is franchise fatigue. I mean, you don't have to look any further than the new Snow White movie, a completely unwanted and ruined franchise.
You can't ruin, I mean, yeah, this one's weird to me. Because, yeah, it's a live action, and yeah, you don't have to like it or whatever, but people saying you ruined the original, the original's still untouched. I hate that shit.
Used to be a classic fairy tale, but now because of Disney always trying to play it safe and virtue signal, has now undergone significant transformations. The original story includes themes of beauty, envy, and the triumph of good over evil, being the source of inspiration for countless adaptations in the world. However, today we see yet another remake that is trying to force contemporary political values into a timeless story, leading to one of the worst movies that's ever going to be made. A live-action remake of Snow White, with Rachel Zegler, an actress.
Didn't she do a bunch of shit? That shit fucked up her whole bag too. I remember hearing about her a while back. People are so stupid. You got a bag, bro. What are you doing?
Who actually hates Snow White,
yeah, there you go.
That resembles nothing of the original story. The entire movie, from what we can see so far, is just another boring trend in Hollywood of reimagining classic characters to reflect modern diversity. However, at this point, everyone hates it. No one's gonna watch this movie. It's absolutely gonna bomb. And the only people who will watch this movie are either kids or people who want to see how spectacularly bad the movie.
Whoa, would you look at that? It's almost like the demographic for Disney movies are for kids. Disney's biggest demographic is for kids, bro, and preteens. So like, as an adult, what are you complaining about? You already had the original movie when you're younger growing up. Why are you being so weird about it? Jesus Christ.
As this new remake has changed the original story, which centered around the idea of true love, to now a pressing theme about female empowerment and diversity, representing a significant departure from the original tale.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
And this reorientation has been hated universally by everyone, and that's one of the reasons that the Daily.
I can see both sides of this argument, because it's like, you got the old people who grew up watching these movies, and they want to see those movies again, which, in my opinion, just go watch them. And it's like, times change, and when it comes to these movies, you want to target, if your target audience also changes, right? Kids these days are younger, they want different shit. They're into different shit, so you actually want to play to that. So I get why they do that. But at the same time, it's just like, you literally cannot please everybody when it comes to, this situation. You just have to focus on where your profits are. If you're looking at it from like a business perspective, like if you're an old person complaining about it, just come on, man. It's not for you. Go watch the original. You'll be fine. I promise you.
Wire's new Snow White and the Evil Queen is in fact so popular. Even though it is a remake, it stays true to the original narrative and characterizations, with this adaptation being praised for its respect for the source material and its avoidance of modern ideological insertions. Even with just a fraction of Disney's budget, this movie will probably perform way better, as it remains true to the story and continues on its creativity.
How funny would that be if it doesn't? And it turns out people actually don't care that much. I think a lot of the time people don't care, especially when it comes to this type of topic. It's just more so they have an agenda they want to push. That's all.
And the trailer for this movie's success shows that audiences just feel so alienated by the modern entertainment industry's tendency to prioritize contemporary ideologies over storytelling. However, one of Hollywood's biggest missteps in recent years has been their obsession with taking anything and everything popular and adapting it to film. But just because a certain IP is popular doesn't mean its appeal will translate to the big screen. And if we look at the past decade, there are countless examples of studio executives overestimating the draw of certain properties that were never really that deep to begin with. Take the infamous 2017 Emoji Movie. In an effort to create something akin to a modern Toy Story, hoping it would be just as relatable and beloved, filmmakers at Sony instead spent a whopping $50 million to create something truly detestable to audiences.
I never bothered watching this movie. Sometimes I watch a movie if it's getting shit on just to see if it's actually like warranted and to form my own opinion, because I'm not a fucking parrot. But I just could never bring myself to watch this movie, man.
The film's plot follows soulless emoji characters as they move through realms based on popular apps like Spotify, Instagram, and Candy Crush. It feels nothing like more than an empty dystopian cash grab throughout, and it's widely
I can see how this kind of shit. Oh my god.
considered one of the worst animated films of all time, and the most insane thing about the film is that its failure was predictable since its announcement, which was over 2 years before its eventual release. Everything outside of Sony predicted the flop immediately. It was clear from the beginning that just because emojis and smartphone apps were popular and universally recognizable didn't mean those
I feel like an emoji movie could work if you did it right. What I just saw definitely looked like they were just trying to cash in and on like the whole, the whole culture or whatever, the iPhone culture. But I feel like you could do an emoji movie and it could actually bang. You just actually have to do it right. I can 100% see it. I can 100% see it. Like if you can make, what are those stupid, the fake rabbits, bro? What are they called? The minions. Yeah, the minions. If you can make minion movies, bro, you can absolutely make a fucking emoji movie that's actually pretty good. I know, I can see it. I can see it in my head.
things could be or should be enough to carry a film, and since these elements all inherently lack depth, the story was sure to lack depth as well, and it did. The Emoji Movie currently has a whopping 6%
Damn.
on Tomatoes, but far more surprising than its critical response is that this film actually made a profit. However, this wasn't without Sony Pictures putting their finger on the scale for opening weekend, as Sony actually placed a review embargo on the movie only to lift it mere hours before the film's release. Josh Greenstein, Sony Pictures president of worldwide marketing and distribution, had this to say on the embargo, quote, "We wanted to give the movie its best chance. What other wide release with a score under 8% has opened..."
I mean, I can't be mad at them for trying to make the money back and giving the movie a fair chance. I can't be mad at that shit. But I'm just glad I'm not one of those people who wasted money seeing that shit.
North of $20 million. I don't think there is one. And the Emoji Movie definitely wasn't the start of this phenomena. Hollywood has been pumping out underwhelming and poorly thought
What? Wasn't the Lego movies fire, bro? Why is he got him on here talking about it like this shit wasn't good? Hello? Am I alone in this?
out stories based on shallow but popular mobile apps, board games, food products, and random kids toys for decades. And although just this year we saw films like the Super Mario Bros. And Barbie blow away box office records, it was
That's what I'm talking about. You can absolutely take like a random IP or like an old IP that people love and make a fucking great movie. Barbie movie and Mario movie were fucking fire. So you can't sit here and tell me that remakes, reboots, or whatever can't be done, because we see examples of them. You just need to have the actual interest in people care about the writing when they're doing it, the process.
clear that the studios and directors actually cared more for these films in a creative way than many.
And I guess that's what that comes down to, like how much they care about the films they're making, right? Because you can I promise you can remake, for example, let's look at the Star Wars show. People shit on the new Star Wars movies, sure, they're not that great. But then in the same token, people are loving like some of those Star Wars shows that came out. The what was it? Ahsoka. People love Ahsoka, and it's just like it goes to show you it's all about care and how you handle the property, the IP. If you're just doing it to do it because you think it'll sell money and not really putting effort into it, of course it's not going to be good. And people are going to say, "Oh, I'm tired of superhero movies or Star Wars movies or whatever." But if one comes along that's really good, they're going to be singing a whole different tune. It's like the audience really don't know what they want. They just want to complain for the most part. Sometimes it's warranted. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes movies are just bullshit. 100% agree with that. But that whole, "Oh, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that," in reality, you're tired of bad movies. People want good movies.
he just never will. Not to mention the massive $100 million budgets as well, and the long history of these franchises providing it with lore that writers could actually build a story around. But these films aren't what should worry us. It's the precedent that this massive financial success set for mega corporations, like the Barbie movie. After the release of Barbie, Warner Brothers and Mattel announced that they have another 14 movies currently in development and hinted at a Mattel cinematic universe. And it's really hard to imagine that a whole—
I mean, if they're all as good as Barbie, then I'm not going to complain, to be honest with you. If people actually care about it when they write the movie, then I'll watch it. I'll check it out. We'll see how it turns out.
Hot Wheels movie or a film about the card game Uno will get the same amount of consideration and care as Barbie does. Instead, many of these movies will hope to rely on our familiarity and loyalty to these products.
I'm not going to lie, an Uno movie sounds kind of fucking crazy. How is that going to work? I can't even imagine how you would do that. They're going to have to do some amazing writing for that shit.
To get us to pay the increasingly exorbitant price of admission to theatres. And if you don't plan on going to the theatres, streamers seem to be following suit, investing heavily into shallow pre-existing properties, likely at the expense of original scripts. Netflix recently announced a $70 million star-studded Pop-Tart movie. Meanwhile,
a Pop-Tart movie? What the fuck does that mean? I don't see the vision of a Pop-Tart movie. That sounds worse than an Uno movie. Holy crap.
Fresh original stories that shed light on the universal human experience are becoming more and more difficult to come by, and if studios and streamers follow this road to its conclusion, we'll someday lose our ability to tell each other stories at scale, and instead replace it with long-form corporate advertisements. And when we lose our—
I think he's being dramatic when he said all that shit, because sure, corporate blah 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 doing bad movies, but there's also a lot of like independent creators out there still making great fucking movies that aren't even related to that type of shit. So us losing the ability to create stories and shit like that, that's just not fucking true. That's fucking crazy. That was a crazy statement.
Stories will inevitably lose a small piece of our sense of community and shared experience, which means we'll inevitably lose a piece of our collective humanity. And that's why the upcoming—
Yeah, he's being so dramatic. He was so dramatic just now. Holy shit.
Wonka movie just seems like such a sad cash grab.
I mean, the Willy Wonka movie actually is intriguing from the sense of what was Willy like before this dude made the fucking chocolate factory and shit. Like, where did the Oompa Loompas come from? Like, an origin story type shit. That actually sounds interesting to me. I'm not gonna lie. I was never a big Willy Wonka fan, to be honest with you. I thought the movies whatever. I just watched it. It was just one of those movies you watch growing up. But like, an origin story sounds like it could be interesting because that dude is fucking weird. He has a lot going on in that factory. So we'll see how the movie turns out, I suppose.
Corporate hollow story from the beloved Charlie and the Chocolate Factory turned on its head, rehashing the same old story from the 60s over and over again, with the film expected to explore Wonka's earlier life and the events that led him to become the renowned chocolatier known in the original story, which just completely dilutes the whole mystery about his past, making the magic of the original Roald Dahl narrative just another cash grab.
I don't agree with that. I don't think the original movie was great because it was a mystery. I think it was good because it's a weird fucking movie. Like, you've never seen anything like that before. Seeing his origin stories is like, okay, but how did he get weird? I think that's interesting. I think that's an interesting topic.
And looking ahead, there seems to be no end in sight for this trend. Franchises like Marvel and Star Wars continue to expand with new films and series. And more, nobody wants to see these films. They're starting to bomb at the box office.
Bro, all they need is one good Star Wars movies and they're gonna change the entire fucking tune. Like, they have it set up for the movie, from the shows and stuff. They have it set up where they can have one banger. Like, the next Marvel movie, Star Wars movie can be a banger. It's set up perfectly if they want to do that. It's just how, if they pull it off or not. I mean, it's all about if they pull it off. It's all about how they pull it off or not, because it's all there. All the puzzle pieces are there. They just got to put it together.
Making movies just so oversaturated and predictable. The current landscape of Hollywood is now just completely dominated by virtue signaling, reboots, remakes, and adaptations.
Yes, I don't agree with that at all. Like, if you really believe that way, it's because you only watch the popular movies that are being advertised to. You're not going out of your way to watch other movies. I sincerely believe that.
There is no more Truman shows. There is no more Fight Clubs, American Psycho stories. Instead, modern movies are just contributing to a sense of redundancy and lack of innovation in the industry. And as audiences around the world continue to crave original and compelling stories, the film industry now faces a critical challenge: to balance the allure of proven successes with the need for new, innovative storytelling that pushes the boundaries of cinema.
This is a good video. I didn't exactly agree with everything that was said in this video, but it was definitely an interesting topic to cover. Like I said the entire time through the video, I really think people have to go out of their way to find more unique movies and experiences instead of just consuming the mainstream movies that are pushed to you and then continuing to complain about them. I think people have to really just go out of their way to find more original content. There'll be a video, go ahead and check it out. I'll leave it in the description.